none had renown like the boy who pulled soul from stone.
Okay, record now. Let's go.
Hello and welcome. Welcome and hello. This is Wait, You Haven't Seen? It's a show where we talk about movies, and specifically, we talk about a movie at least one of us has never seen before. I'm your host, Travis, aka TV's Travis. This is episode number 358. And our movie this week from 2021 is The Green Knight. And joining me to talk about it, it's Matthew Sargent. Matthew, how are you?
I'm good, Travis. How are you doing?
I am doing quite well. All right, so The Green Knight, 2021, stars Dev Patel, written and directed by David Lowery, based on the poem from the anonymous poet, Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. What is your history with this movie prior to us watching it for this show?
I've read a version of Gawain and the Green Knight in college, I think, and I remember very little of it, or at least it's very different from this movie.
Mm-hmm.
So between that and general knowledge of Arthurian legend stuff, that is about the extent of what I had going into it.
Okay. Kind of similar for me. I had general knowledge of Arthurian stuff. For me, a big thing was Arthurian legend was right up there with Sherlock Holmes for me, and like some of my favorite stuff growing up. And I remember doing Arthurian legend in high school and talking about it. So I loved like kind of all of that, but I wouldn't say I was super well versed in it. I knew the broad strokes. But I was somewhat familiar, at least, with Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. This movie came out. It was originally supposed to be released in 2020. It was going to debut at South by Southwest 2020. And then the pandemic hit and South by Southwest was scrapped. And so they pushed it back. And David Lowery actually said he's glad that happened because he wasn't completely thrilled with the cut he had at the time. So he took 6 more months and kind of tweaked it and got to what he put out. And now he was much happier with that. And then it got released to theaters in 2021 to pretty good critical reviews, but okay box office. It was pretty good. Its opening weekend just had a big drop off. I think it made, I want to say 7 or 8 million in its opening weekend, and then dropped off after that. Ended up around 17, 18 million for its total run on a $15 million budget. So not exactly gangbusters. This is also 2021 when no one was going to movies.
Right.
But the critical acclaim was high. I think the aggregate score on something like Rotten Tomatoes and Metacritic are in the high 70s or 80s. So we got a lot of very positive reviews. And I can see that. This feels, when I watch it, it felt like a critic's type of movie. But overall, you mentioned how it varies or differs from the original poem in a few ways, which I want to touch on and I want to talk about because they definitely did that. But overall, as a film, just first time watching it, checking it out, what did you think of it?
It's definitely weird. It wasn't what I expected. I was expecting something a little more straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the poem super well, but I remember it being relatively straightforward. So as a film, it's beautiful to watch. Everything looks fantastic.
Yeah.
And it felt like one of those movies that you need to watch multiple times in order to grasp what they're really trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I have the interest in trying to do that. My wife, who watched it with me, was like, "This is weird. I don't need to see this again." But it definitely kind of grabs your imagination and makes you work to figure things out.
It does. And it's funny that you say it that way because while critics are in that, I think the Rotten Tomatoes tomato meter was like 85%. So it's overwhelmingly positive reviews. I mean, that just means 85% of the reviews were positive versus negative. But the IMDb rating is closer to a 6.5 to 7. Looking through some of those reviews, there was one, my favorite one was a single word review that just said horrible, 1 star. And I was like, wow, you put in a whole lot of effort there. But reading some of those negative reviews from users, that was a lot of the negative reviews was, oh, this is just weird. Oh, it looks great, but the story doesn't make any sense. That kind of thing. And I get that. For me, watching it, I had no idea what to expect. But when the start of the movie showed the logo for A24, immediately in my head, I said, all right, this is going to get weird. And I just did because every A24 film I've seen ends up being weird in some way. They just are very indie film, artsy stuff that is not. A24 doesn't put out stuff that's 4-quadrant movies that a lot of people are just going to glom onto immediately. That's just not what they do. And so that gave me already sort of this expectation of like, okay, strap in because it's going to get weird. I wasn't expecting how weird it would get at parts. But I also really dig that. Like I really get into just give me something that makes me think, that gets the gears turning and makes me think about it afterwards. And the ambiguity of that, I think, for me, is intriguing because I know a little bit about Sir Gawain, or Gawain, or I think even the king pronounces it Garwin, which cracked me up. But I know a little bit about him enough to know he was a knight of the Round Table and some of the adventures, but it's it's cool to see a new interpretation of this because in the end, what I took away from this movie was it is this guy's journey. It's the hero's journey. Is exactly what it is. It's the straight, bog standard kind of hero's journey, but it's his journey to knighthood, and it by way of these strange things. Because the first line in the movie, or the first thing he says is, "I'm not ready." I think is the very first line that Gawain speaks in the movie, and
yeah, that sounds right.
And then his final line at the end of the movie is, "Okay, I am ready." And if you kind of take a step back and you realize that this whole movie, the entirety of the story and the weirdness that it gets, is him becoming worthy of being a knight and growing into that, and that growth and that journey, some of it can start to make sense. It's still weird. It still goes in a lot of strange directions. It gets very fantastical. Magic exists in this world. But when you kind of take that step back, it makes a little bit more sense. But to your point, it's a movie you got to watch more than once if you really want to kind of figure it out, which I would. But I love a slow burn movie too. Did the pacing of the movie throw you or your wife off while watching it at all? Is that, do you think, part of it?
I was okay with the pacing. It stuff was always happening, as weird as it was. I was never bored when watching it, and I feel like being bored is the worst thing a movie can do to you.
Yes.
So there was always something to look at, always something to try to interpret what was happening. So I thought the pacing was pretty good.
I mean, I agree. I was I like breaking things up into chapters the way that they did, because you sort of get this little prologue, and then it's Sir Gawain ... or Sir Gawain and, I think, and then the ellipses, and then as these chapters would pop up, you'd get a title slug of sort of what we're going to deal with now. And I like that because it gave me this sense of, okay, new thing to now think about. and then it would move through, and there was just these really cool, like almost vignettes that tied everything together, from sort of the Christmas celebration at the beginning to I think one of them was called A Kindness, and that's where he meets the little scavenger.
Yeah.
This cast, by the way, are you very familiar with Dev Patel? Have you watched or seen him in much?
Probably not a whole lot. Um, I've seen Slumdog Millionaire, and
Mm-hmm.
that actually might be it.
And that was kind of his breakout role.
Yeah.
He's been getting more
Oh yeah, he was
more
in.
stuff in the
He
last
was
few years.
he was Prince Zuko in the last Airbender movie that we do not speak of.
Yeah, no, and you know what? I mean, he got paid, so good for him.
Yeah.
But
And what's wrong with that movie is not his fault at
no,
all.
no, it's not. But I like Dev Patel. This performance was phenomenal. He was amazing all the way through because he had to do a lot of non-verbal acting as well as the sort of sentence structures that they would use, and getting a little bit kind of classical in dialogue. But I really got his performance, like his journey all the way through it, because he is so unsure of himself for so much of the movie.
Right. He's one of the most confused and scared hero or protagonists of a movie that I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Just the whole time, it's like he almost has as little idea of what's happening as we do
Yeah,
watching it.
yeah, he really does. And it's that hero's journey, and he is the hero of our story, but he is, and he's capable of putting on the bravado of a knight, but he does not have the virtues of a knight. One interesting thing to me is, where did I put this note? The 5 traditional knightly virtues are friendship, generosity, chastity, courtesy, and piety. Those are the 5, traditional virtues.
Mm-hmm.
In all of those get addressed in the movie without it being like signposted and said up front. It just through his actions, through his deeds, and every time he's tested in one of those, he fails.
Yep. Yeah, I saw the bit about that in some trivia I read, and I didn't exactly pick up on that while watching, but I saw that there was some kind of pattern to the test that he was being given, and I was guessing that it had something to do with like the 7 deadly sins or something along those lines.
Yeah, it's
But I'm
very
not.
similar to that. But I like
Yeah.
it because without being told it, there are these things going on. You don't have to be told that the stuff with the fox is kind of the test of friendship, and the stuff
Right.
with the scavenger is the test of charity, that kind of thing. But you can just glean that from it
Right.
in your own way, which I really liked that. I like that kind of story unfolding. I don't need exposition for it, which is great. And yeah, just Dev Patel really sold it for me all the way through because of these moments where Gawain is a character throughout this movie waiting for the outside forces to reveal to him how to be a hero and how to be the knight and put him in the situation. And the closest we get to like exposition dump is him sitting with Joel Edgerton's character, the Lord. And it's a quote. I'll play it later, but the way he says it is just great. But basically, Gawain is going through the motions, thinking that this is going to make him great and cement his legacy, this journey, and he's just waiting for it to happen to him, as opposed to him just being a good person and leaving that legacy. And I
Yeah.
kind of like that.
And
I thought
that
it was
kind
really
of
well
goes, yeah, and that kind of references what he was saying at the beginning with Arthur and Guinevere just saying he hadn't done anything yet.
Mm-hmm.
And he continues to let stuff happen to him more than he did things.
Yes. Yeah, it's really the beginning of the movie, he has no agency. He's just passively going through life. And then he has this inciting incident, which is the Christmas celebration. They're at the round table. I like not name dropping anybody but him as well. I actually liked that about we never get Arthur and Guinevere's names spoken. They're just the king and queen with the coolest crowns I've ever seen. I loved those crowns.
Yeah, they were very angelic,
Yeah.
or referencing holy medieval art with the halos
Yes.
behind them.
It's gorgeous. But I like not referencing them, although the actors Sean Harris and Kate Dickie play the king and queen. Now, Sean Harris I've seen in things like he popped up in a couple of the Mission Impossible movies. He was in Prometheus. He's been in a number of things, and I always like him. He's got something to his voice that is this, like, there's this rasp in his voice that always sounds kind of sinister, even when he's playing a character like this in the King, who, by all accounts, this king is a pretty good king. People seem to like him, you know. I mean, it's supposed to be King Arthur. So,
Right.
But he's this like older, frail, broken down kind of version of that.
Yeah.
And yet there's that rasp and that gravel to his voice that I just makes me want to listen to him more in a different way from, like a Morgan Freeman has that soothing voice. Sean Harris has a voice that does sound like a cat licking sandpaper, and yet I'm drawn to it. And then Kate Dickie playing the Queen, she was great too. For their small amount of screen time, both of them were quite wonderful. I loved her kind of telling Gawain, like, don't take your place amongst them idly, because he's looking around at all these knights being like, I see legends everywhere, and who am I?
Yeah.
I really like that. And then you get the inciting. Oh, and Sarita playing his mother, who is credited as mother, but in Spice, some things I read mentioned that she was supposed to be Morgan Le Fay. But then I also read something where she wasn't Morgan; she was a different sister of Arthur. So I mean, you can take that either way, I guess. Morgan makes more sense as the witchy part.
Yeah, I would agree to that.
But I really liked the intercut between Arthur, the king giving his speech, and the mother doing her little ritual in that tower.
Right.
Which that tower is an actual building in Ireland.
Yeah,
So-
I saw it. It's called like the Wonderful Barn.
Yeah. And so that's a real thing. But that intercut was one of the things that Lowery said he kind of reworked a little bit and spent a lot of time trying to get the pacing and the cuts and the timing right on that edit to get those two to flow together. But that was beautifully done. And I like just the juxtaposition of here's the king giving this rousing speech, but it's not like a bombastic rah-rah speech. But it's still one of those that really fills you with a lot of like just good feelings, where he's talking about spending time with his friends and family and all of that. And then you've got over here's the mother doing this, what appears to be some kind of dark ritual, maybe.
Right. So was the idea that she was summoning the Green Knight?
That's how I read it. Because she's writing in this handwritten note while blindfolded. Loved that. That was cool.
Yep.
And seals it up, but then the note is suspended in air and it like disappears, and you start to see some green growing. And I feel like that was her sort of summoning the Green Knight. Because at first I was very confused. I'm like, okay, so she's summoning this, but then as everything unfolds, it doesn't exactly go the greatest for Gawain, I wouldn't say.
No.
But yeah, she does that. She summons it, is the way that I read it anyway. And then, boy, talk about an entrance of
Yeah.
the Green Knight. That was great.
Yep.
The Green Knight, voiced by and played by Ralph Ineson. Now, there's a voice that I will listen to forever. I love that man's voice, whether he's Galactus. I just talked about him not too long ago in The Witch, and he's phenomenal in that. He just, and the look. What did you think of the Green Knight when it shows up, and that whole, like, number one, how that scene worked out, and then the character and the design of the Green Knight.
The scene of him entering is very cool, very interesting, and that's more bombastic than the speech, which is honoring all the knights there in a very calm way, and all of a sudden a plant man bursts through on a horse. But I really like the design of the knight. I like the practical effects that they use to
Yes.
create presumably a man who is gradually turned into wood or into a tree.
And I like not having any origin to the Green Knight. And no one really bats an eye at this, what looks to be like 7 foot tall tree monster on a horse. And none of the knights around the table, the king, nobody reacts in a way that makes this seem like it's out of the ordinary. Like, they deal with this kind of stuff.
Right.
Which I liked. You're right, though. The practical work, the practical effects work is phenomenal here. I did love a couple of little backstory or behind the scenes things. The floating letter, that scene where she has the letter and then lets go of it and it floats before it burns up, was a practical effect.
Oh, that's cool.
They just used some fishing line and lit it on fire. And then the horse, he was supposed to ride the horse all the way in, and the horse wasn't cooperating. And Ralph Ineson is a good horseman, but he couldn't control the horse. So there's a lot of insert shots of him just on a dolly, and them like pulling him around on like a horse dummy, because they just could not get the horse to cooperate. But man, what a cool entrance! And I feel like there must have been at some point in the past a run-in with this knight, because all of the knights sitting around the table are just like, I don't want none of that. I am not interested at all in fighting this guy. Not one of them, including, I think he's credited as Bishop, the Merlin of this world. Kind of does almost like a little muttering to himself. There's that moment where they show him. He's the guy with like little sort of markings under his eyes.
Yeah, I
when
recognized him as Merlin.
Yeah. And the Green Knight shows up, and King quickly gives a look over to that guy who kind of mutters to himself, and like the coloration goes red for a second, and then he just looks back at the king like, I got nothing. I can't do anything. So I loved that, because that immediately is great shorthand for this creature, whatever this thing is that's come into the room, is serious business. Because you're in a room full of knights, the knights, and none of them even make a run at it, except Gawain is the one to take up things. And yeah, I mean, that's the inciting incident, right? Is the whole, okay, somebody takes a swing at me, and if you hit me, you get my axe. But in 1 year, you got to come to my chapel, and I get to return the favor. That's the game we're going to play. And this is where, again, this is Gawain kind of proving that he's not ready to be a knight yet, because he takes up the challenge. Okay. Courage, bravery. I get that.
Yeah.
And he wants to fight, and the Green Knight just takes his axe and sets it down. And I love the shot of him setting it down, and then stuff starts to grow immediately.
Yeah.
But Gawain's like wanting to fight, and then the knight just kind of lowers his head down, gives himself up. Question.
Yeah.
In that situation, how are you reacting?
Not how Gawain reacted, I think. If this is the game and I'm going to get the same strike back, I might go a bit more gentle than beheading.
Yeah.
Probably a lot more gentle.
Yeah, I feel like his inexperience and his bravado made him think, well, if I kill him, then it's over.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, he immediately goes to beheading the Green Knight. Not a good move. Not a good move because he feels so confident in himself until the headless body of the Green Knight picks up his own head and it starts to laugh.
Mm-hmm.
At which point, I would have pooped myself and probably passed out.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how that goes. But then he gets the whole 1 year hence, and the knight rides away.
Mm-hmm.
And we start our next chapter. And we basically cut forward not quite a year, right? Because we sort of get a Cliff's Notes version of like the next year of his life.
Yeah.
And he doesn't. He just rides on the fame of defeating the Green Knight, and the story gets out there. But it's interesting how the story gets out that he defeated the Green Knight, but not the part about, yeah, but then the Green Knight just rode off with his own head.
Mm-hmm.
So there's sort of little propaganda, maybe. I don't know.
But the part where he might get beheaded got out there also. The
That's
puppet
true.
show
Yep. Oh, I
showed
love
that.
the puppet shows, by the way.
So I think people knew that somehow he was in danger, at least potentially, and maybe they were just mocking him. But
Yeah,
probably
that could be too.
Probably a pretty stressful year for him.
Yeah, because we get the sense that he hasn't done anything, and he spent most of his year drinking and just sort of riding the high of this moment that he feels like was a good moment for him. But him not being ready to be a knight until finally he sort of doesn't have a choice, and the king sits him down and is like, "All right, look, you got to go do this thing." And he's got his whole relationship going on with Essel, played by Alicia Vikander.
And I did not realize that was her
Oh yeah,
the whole time until I looked at the credits later. Like I recognized her later as the lady,
yeah.
and I even saw her in like old Essel at the end.
Yep.
But it somehow the haircut or something, just I did not see her in there.
And she's great. She's another one that's giving a banger of a performance. I mean, everybody really is. Sean Harris, Dev Patel, but Alicia, her character wants to be with Gawain and loves him.
Yep.
And there's a genuine love and affection she has for him. But he doesn't treat her that well. He's not bad to her, but he's not good to her either. He kind of keeps her at an arm's length. He never really lets them. She wants to be together. She wants to be his lady, and he keeps kind of dancing around it and never really answering that, and that's rough for her. Like Essel gets the raw end of the deal, or raw deal throughout the whole story, in my mind.
Yeah.
But I loved her moment with him before he leaves, because he gets all suited up, right? He's got his armor. You see his mother making that like sash, girdle belt thing for him and sewing some runes into it for protection. And he's sitting there getting ready to leave, and Essel tells him like, "Well, don't go. You don't have to do this." He's like, "I have to. It's it's my way of having greatness." And I loved her line of like, why greatness when is goodness not enough?
Yeah.
Yeah, she is such an emotional anchor that you would think, as things go on, would be his emotional anchor, but he's sort of, and she sort of is, I guess, because she gives him the bell.
Right.
which that was a thing that I read about where her short hair and the jingle bells on her clothing were both marks of her being from the brothel,
Yeah.
and kind of marking her as sort of an outcast, right? She's
Right.
not meant to be amongst the polite society.
Right.
So it's very telling of her to give that to him and for him to take it with him.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, he sets out. I don't know if you read this. The two of the bigger influences on this movie for David Lowery were Willow and Excalibur.
Interesting.
Have you
I haven't.
seen
I
Excalibur?
haven't seen. I have not seen Excalibur. I've seen Willow
Okay.
quite a few times.
And I can see
And
it.
yeah.
I can see it in some of this, like the like haze, right? The fog, the murkiness of
Mm-hmm.
everything, the muted colors in a lot of things. I get it feels very Excalibur in that way, but also Willow, and even to the point of like I like him when he's. I love absolutely the cinematography in this movie all the way through. The shot composition, the matte paintings that they used, everything visually is just stunning. But I think one of my favorite shots, there's a couple of them. One of them is him riding out of the city at the beginning with the kids following him.
Mm-hmm.
Is just such a beautiful shot. And there's a lot of those long takes too. And it's just him. All it is Gawain riding his horse and these kids following him. And eventually they're trying to get his attention.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just ignoring them. And they finally like sort of give up. Right as like a sheep herder comes up with his herd and gets him on the road. I loved how that all looked because like the matte paintings of the city and the castle in the background looked phenomenal, and just these wide open spaces in Ireland where they shot was gorgeous.
Yeah. Absolutely. And then after that, he comes on the crossroads,
Yep.
and there's the skeleton hanging in the cage, which reminded me of Willow instantly.
Yeah. I was wondering if that if that reminded you of Mad Mardigan or not, and that was cool.
Yep, definitely.
And then he goes from that to we get what is that? That's when we get the transition to A Kindness, the chapter. Now
Yeah.
I knew Dev Patel was in this movie. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
I think I knew Ralph Ineson too because I'd looked. Yeah, I did. I knew Ralph Ineson was in this. I had no idea Barry Keoghan was in the movie.
I did not either.
But as soon,
And
even in that wide shot, as soon as he spoke, I'm like, that's Barry Keoghan. I know that voice.
I was not positive of it at first because that whole first scene, it's all a wide shot, so you don't see him close up.
Yeah.
Um,
What a great wide shot though, right? Like
yeah.
that's got to be so much. It's so much work, but it also has to be so fulfilling to get that right. A wide shot that's really long like that with a lot of dialogue and movement and acting going on and things happening in it. That's just
Yeah.
this slow, drawn out moment between two characters. That's got to be really just super. I want to say fun, but at the same time, it's a lot of work to get that done. And like one small mistake, and you got to reset at one and do it all again. But oh man, it's just so good. And Barry Keoghan, he's great. And I had no idea he was going to be in this. So him popping up, I'm like, cool. And he's not in it for very long, but he's great for the whole time. It's so many. It's funny because Dev Patel is so good throughout the movie, but there's so many actors popping up in small amounts that just steal the scenes that they're in.
Yeah. Everybody in it is really great, and so often, so many of the scenes are just between Dev Patel and one other person.
Mm-hmm.
It's so rarely outside of the beginning. There aren't that many scenes with a lot of people involved in what's going on.
Yeah, which, again, I mean, that's a testament to your actors really bringing performances, because there's nothing to hide from in this movie. Like there's no ensemble to get lost in. Because
Yeah.
even the beginning with all of the characters, there's only a few shots where it's a lot of characters interacting. Most of it is like one or two characters doing the acting and a bunch of, for better or worse, extras in the scene. Just people there, but they're not doing anything of importance to the narrative itself. So it's then down to the actors to really play off of each other. And Dev Patel and Barry Keoghan really had something going in that whole scene. It's just a great back and forth. I think the line of like, did you fight here and there? Did you fight here? Mostly there. Was really good. But again, this is that test of charity for him, because he gets information. He's given information freely and offers nothing.
Yeah.
And then finally, when asked, gives, one coin. And it's sort of one of those things where when he flipped the coin to him and the scavenger is like, yeah, be sure to stick to the stream or whatever it is, because it can get a little tricky out there. And I didn't really think he would come back into play at any point then. I don't know why. I figured, well, that's the end of it for him. But no, no, things go south for Gawain pretty quick.
It was a trap.
It was absolutely a trap, and he gets, and the funny thing is, Gawain he's got some skill, right? We've seen that he knows how to handle a sword, yet he puts up no fight whatsoever to these people. Again, kind of proving he's just not ready yet. He doesn't have what it takes at this point to be a knight, because he's lacking, like in here, he's just lacking the courage and the ability to stand up for himself. And the 360 degree pan was the first moment of like, this is really weird, and what is happening here for me?
That's exactly what I was thinking. Like, it's just like, oh, suddenly he's dead, and then it turns around and he's alive again. So is it metaphorical? Is it time reversing? Is it time jumping ahead?
Yeah. And it's never brought up, and it's never mentioned again. And my thought then was like, at some point in this movie, I thought, is he still tied up in the woods and this is all playing out in his head? Like what could happen? I wasn't sure, but that shot was very visually stunning, but also narratively, I can see a lot of people getting very confused by that and then trying to figure it out, when really, as I got further into the movie and then after watching it, my realization for that was, that's like something weird happening in a David Lynch movie. It's just weird for the sake of weird.
Yeah.
And don't think about it too much and just move on. So that helped me actually at that point.
But yeah, if you consider how the end goes, where he kind of gets a glimpse into his future, this could kind of be an early version of that, where he sees a future where he is just dead, tied up.
Yeah.
And then...
Oh, that's a good point.
And then just kind of... That is enough to inspire him to break out.
Yeah, to crawl, because they left his sword. They took the axe.
Yeah.
And left everything else, broke his shield, but they left his sword there. Dumb.
Yeah.
But they took his horse and his axe, so he gets free. And he moves on. And I think it's after that we get St. Winifred, right?
Yeah.
He wanders for a bit and ends up finding this house. And another instance of points in the movie where Travis would have had to change pants is waking up in the bed and somebody in the room being like, what are you doing in the bed? Because let's face it, if I walked into this house, if I found this building, the structure in the woods, and there's nothing, there's like rotten, prehistoric food, it looks like. I mean, just fossilized food, but a bed, and I've been wandering. Yeah, I'm going to lay down in the bed because I'm tired, and a
Yeah.
bed would feel real nice. And then to wake up to somebody in the room being like, what are you doing here? Yeah, I'd be scared.
Yeah.
And I loved the introduction to her and the way that she speaks to him. And then partway through it, her voice starts to change a little bit and starts to get that little echo to it. And then
Yeah.
when she moves towards him, she doesn't walk towards him. She just glides forward.
Oh, I don't know if I noticed that.
Yeah, it was very ethereal. And I loved that moment. And then you can see it on Gawain's face where he's like, this is weird. And he starts to reach out like to touch her because he's assuming she's a spirit.
Yeah.
And as his hand starts to reach out, I love her being like, what are you doing? Don't touch me. And this was not part of the original poem. That I do know. The
Okay.
whole thing with Saint Winifred and the story of Winifred is not part of his poem, but Lowery thought it kind of dovetailed in and fit or could be worked in a way. Because it does also play into one of the trials for a knight because his generosity was the scavenger thing. His, which one was it? Courtesy. When she takes him out to the pond and she's like, hey, I need you to, I love it because it's like my head is in the water. I need that. And he immediately says, well, what do I get in exchange? Or you could just do
Yeah.
the thing she's asking you to do and then figure that out later. But he asks that first. That's him failing that test and her bristling at it right away. And then he relents and he goes in. And that's, again, a weird moment when he gets in the water.
Yeah.
Everything turns red, but it's really cool looking. It looks so good.
It's there was various moments throughout the movie where suddenly everything becomes one color.
Yes.
And that's one of the things that I'll have to, I'm sure somebody has analyzed it, but it's something I need to watch again to kind of pick up on what all the color symbolism means. Because there's clearly a lot of specific things in mind. But I didn't pick up exactly what it all was.
Yeah, the colors that I saw, there were moments of red, especially in the water. Everything turns red, and then he does find the skull, her head.
Yep.
And there were moments of green, obviously with the knight, but also with Gawain, and then yellow later were the main ones that I saw. And I think
there's
kind of blue with the giants, which we'll get to.
Yeah. And with the Lord and Lady.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point, too.
They were dressed in blue.
But yeah, he finds the skull and takes it inside. And that was the other one. Then when he walks inside and on the bed that he had been sleeping on is now like a skeleton without the head. And again, I'm like, you know what? That would freak me out just a little bit.
Yep.
But he sets it down on there and setting the skull on the bed, he got something in return. He got his axe back.
So the question is, how did... my first thought was, did the scavenger show up here and kill her? Is that how she died?
I mean, yeah. It's, again, because it's so ambiguous what happens. Because the scavenger's like, I'll finish your quest, not even knowing what his quest is necessarily, or we're to assume he doesn't know. But he just takes the axe and his horse and leaves. And after helping Winifred, he gets his axe back. Well, what happened to the scavenger and the thieves? We don't know. It's not really important to the story, but I also am curious about that. Like the story of the axe from the scavenger taking it to it appearing there. I kind of want to know.
Yeah. It's one of those weird gaps that just adds to the weirdness of everything.
After Winifred, I think is probably, well, this is where he finds the cave. It's raining, and he ends up in the cave, and that's when the fox shows up. And we had seen the fox when he first entered the forest.
Yeah, I think
I
there,
think
and I think after Winifred, their fox kind of led him out of there,
yes,
maybe.
yes. So then the fox kind of, you know, comes up a little bit closer, and I like he's trying to light the fire, and he's trying to shoo the fox. He throws a rock at the fox, right? He's trying to shoo the fox away, and the fox won't go away. So finally, he just relents. He's like, "All right, fine, come on in," and he just lays down. And I like the fox just coming over, crawling up next to him, crashing out,
Yep.
and get up the next day, and now he's got a buddy. And I think that was
Yeah.
my exact note. Was like, "Oh, he's got a friend now."
Yeah.
And his little foxy buddy's just going to follow him along for a while. And they continue their adventure. And this is where an already strange and fantastical movie, like, amped it up to an 11, where
Yeah.
he's walking along and you see the giant hand, and it's just giants.
But before that, they go through a storm, and he's starving, and he eats some mushrooms
Oh, yeah.
that immediately cause him to hallucinate like fungus growing on his hand or something.
He does. And he hallucinates the night as well, right? Is this where we get that shot that, like, everything goes green?
Yeah, there's a hallucination of like a silhouette.
Yes.
I don't know if it was the night or probably the night. But you get that, and then that goes into the giant thing. So it's like, when did the mushrooms end their effect?
Right? As soon as he started eating mushrooms, I'm like, man, I don't know if that's a good idea. And then he starts to throw up from the mushrooms, and the fox like sniffed at him and wanted nothing to do with him. And I'm like, yeah, no, that ain't good. So it does make you wonder: is he actually seeing giants, or is this more hallucination? And they're just huge naked giants.
Yep.
The interesting thing with those, aside from just these giants, they're all bald. There's a bunch of them. Was one of them holding a baby,
Yep. I noticed that.
which I thought was just, it added a strangeness to that scene that's already very strange, and had one of my other favorite shots in this, which is the one that is Gawain on the plane, going along, and then the camera does a full 180 spin around him and inverts. I love that.
Yeah.
Because that was just like, ooh, man, it's almost this crossing a barrier into another world type of thing, which I thought was really cool. And I like the fox howling and the giants vocalizing back, and then we just get like, and the music throughout this movie, I loved as well. Like, I kind of want to listen, because there was a great mix of folk music and orchestral score, and it kept informing these scenes so well, all the way through. But yeah, the giants are just weird, and I'm here for it. From the giants, what was the? Oh, then after the giants is the Lord.
Yeah, and he arrives at that castle.
And I think my note for that was like, oh yeah, castle in the middle of nowhere. This'll go well.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just thinking, and okay, when he goes into that castle, he goes up to the door and he's banging on the door. It's pouring rain. You see the castle, and there's light coming from inside of it. So he knows there's got to be somebody in there. When that door opens up and he kind of stumbles in, number one, all of a sudden his fox is not there. Fox just like took off. But was it a bear at the top of the stairs? Or was I hallucinating at that point? Because it looked like a bear holding a lantern.
Oh.
I kind of want to go back and watch that moment, because
I don't remember.
it may have just been the way the Lord's silhouette was.
Right. He could have had like a big fur.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if that's what it was. But my initial thought was like, was that a bear? But it cut from it so quickly. And then we get like the whole him, dreaming, and he wakes up in that opulent bed.
Yeah.
To the Lord just sitting there staring at him creepily.
Yeah.
And another actor that I did not know was in this, Joel Edgerton. Oh, I love him.
Yeah. I was surprised to see Uncle Owen in there.
Yes. And honestly, probably my favorite character outside of the Green Knight himself.
Yeah.
in the movie. There was something about the Lord that I just really immediately like latched onto. It's like, I like this character because he's a little strange, but
Yeah.
he's also just very like, he's very accommodating. He's very friendly. He knows who Gawain is somehow.
Yeah.
And I think in some interpretations of the poem and adaptations of it, the Lord is like the human version of the Green Knight. And I sort
That's
of,
interesting.
I wondered if that was the case here, like if it was some sort of manifestation of the Green Knight, but in a human form. But it's never addressed.
Yeah. I guess there's kind of a hint where he's kind of treating it all like a game. Like, I'm going to go hunt. You'll hang out here. We'll hang out. We'll hunt. It's all just fun and games.
Yeah. Yeah, he does treat it a bit like a game. He mentions, the Green Chapel is real close by. If you had not gotten, if you'd been a week later, we wouldn't be here, which is another kind of indication, right? Because it's coming up on Christmas, and he's supposed to find the Green Knight by Christmas Day. And he tells him, it's only a day's ride. You got a few days, rest, relax, hang out with my wife and this old lady that's blindfolded that we have sitting at the table.
Yeah.
And the lady being played by Alicia Vikander.
Yep.
And it's interesting because Gawain sees her, and there's recognition there that she looks like Essel. But he never makes a point of any of it, which I thought was kind of intriguing. Because I feel like in a different story or a different interpretation, there would be some sort of like, you look like somebody I know, or you look like, some kind of recognition, and he just doesn't. It never really comes up.
And if he had, I might have made the connection, but as I was just watching it, I assumed completely different character.
And I mean, she plays her completely differently, right? She's dressed different. She's got the longer hair, but the way she carries herself and everything about her is different because she is a lady. So she is very upright and very proper, while also flirting hardcore with Gawain the whole time. Apparently has photography abilities. I thought that was interesting. It took me a minute before I'm like, wait a minute, she's taking a photograph.
Right.
Like a pinhole camera, but the pinhole's about, you'd fit a small dog through there. And the whole time he's in this house is just, there's that old lady, blindfolded, just always sitting at a table or sitting in the room. And it was creepy as hell.
Yeah.
Especially because, like we've seen his mother in the beginning of the movie wearing a similar blindfold. So immediately I'm like, oh, this is a witch of some kind. They just have like an in-house witch. But
Gotta
she never
have an
does
in-house
anything.
witch. Right. She just kind of
She's kind of there.
around.
She at one point does come up. It was solidified for me when she comes to Gawain while he's sleeping and does the forehead thing where she puts her hand on his forehead and touches his face and then just leaves.
Yeah. I definitely thought that scene was going to go somewhere more than nowhere.
Yeah, go somewhere, but it did not. And that's fine. Again, it's weird for the sake of weird. It's like the lady with her log in Twin Peaks. Why does she carry a log around? No one knows. Why did they have a witch in their house? But I love, the Lord doing he is just so friendly to him. And, that he talks about like this house has a lot of weird things in it. Hey, I'm going to go out and do some hunting for you to take with you. I will do an exchange, right? I will give you whatever I catch. You give me whatever you take from the house. And him being like, yeah, but it's your house. What wouldn't belong to you already?
Yeah.
And then we get, it was one of the few things that I wanted to capture audio from, but I did not, was the lady's speech about the color green and the color red and all that green represents. And the reason I didn't capture any of it is it's just sort of this long soliloquy.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no real places. There was no like sound bites to get out of it. You need to listen to the whole thing.
Yeah.
But it was wonderful and poetic and lovely and terrifying all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Much like nature. So
Yeah.
I liked that. And that leads to, what is it? Then after that is when he wakes up to her in the room with him. And she has the belt. She's giving him the belt back. In a very uncomfortable scene, I will say.
Yeah.
Because at one point, I think my exact note was, oh, they're not talking about the belt anymore.
Yep. Yeah. And then they make it how obvious they weren't talking about the belt.
Yeah. Yes, they did. But he leaves with it and runs into the Lord one last time.
Yep.
And again, the Lord's like, he say something about like, do you have anything to give me? And he's sort of, no, I don't, because he's not going to give up that belt now that he's got it back. He's gotten back his belt and his axe now, the things that he lost. And then the Lord is like, well, by the way, I caught this little guy in one of my traps. Might as well just let him go. And it's the fox. And it's like, oh, good. Because we hadn't seen the fox now for 10 minutes? Something like that.
Right. Not since he got to the castle.
So I was glad the fox came back and he had his buddy and he heads off into the woods. And that's where we get the flip to yellow. Mm-hmm. And this I love his cloak, which is the yellow throughout the movie, but then everything looks yellow now in this woods as he comes up on the boat.
Right. And then under this yellow filter, his cloak looks almost red.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, again, playing with color. And I'm sure you're right. Somebody has done an essay on the color symbolism and what it means. And I would love to, if you listening to this know of one, send it to me because I'd love to read it. But they get to that boat and then the fox decides now is the time I'm going to speak. And it's a creepy voice, much like the voice at the beginning, which that voice with the little poem at the very opening of the movie was David Lowery and his wife reciting that.
Oh, interesting.
I thought it was kind of cool. But yeah, the fox is like, don't go. It's not going to end well. Don't do it. Mm-hmm. And he's like, he basically shoos the fox away, like attacks it almost. And the fox is like, fine, screw you, and runs off, which, justified, I think.
Yeah.
Fox is like, I tried to warn you. But he gets in there and he's finally reached the end of his journey and he has found the Green Chapel.
Yeah.
And he goes in there and I like him setting the axe down. And again, some stuff grows. Mm-hmm. And you see the Green Knight and he sits down and then it's just the waiting game now.
Right.
The Green Knight is in hibernation. I do like the Green Knight at one point opening his eyes, looking at him, and then just closing his eyes again. Like, oh, all right, he's here. Well, he hit snooze on his alarm. It was his first alarm going off. And he's like, no, not yet.
He's like, it's Christmas Eve.
Yeah, exactly.
Got to wait until tomorrow.
5 more minutes.
Got to wait until tomorrow to open your presents.
And then they did some stuff with the Green Knight's face here as he is slowly waking up from his hibernation that I thought was kind of cool. I want to watch the scene again because it felt like the face kept very subtly changing before it finally settled on being the Green Knight face kind of that we knew. And I could be wrong, but I thought I read something about like they had the face morph a little bit into a couple of different characters from the movie. Oh. That he had run into before finally settling.
I'd have to check that out again. I didn't pick up on that.
But yeah, then the Green Knight gets up, and now it's like the final moment, right? And this is the final test, which he fails miserably as well.
Yeah. Wait.
Like, what, 3 times, I think, he has him wait? He's ready to strike, and he keeps telling him to stop. And to the Green Knight's credit, he's like, all right, what? kind of. He's getting annoyed. He's like, "What are we here? We're here for one thing. I got one job to do."
Yeah.
At what point in the finale here, did you realize, or did you at any point realize that we weren't actually seeing what was happening, but what could be happening? Did that dawn on you anywhere along there?
I think it did at some point. Just because everything was suddenly a lot faster paced. So we're going through a lot of things, and then he's really kind of becoming a villain
Yeah.
through this end vision, and I think I didn't. Yeah, I don't remember exactly if I thought it wasn't real or if he would return to the Green Knight at the end of all that. But when he snaps out of it, I was like, "Oh, this makes sense that this is him seeing the future."
Yeah. It was his Ghost of Christmas Future moment.
Yeah,
I would say I did not really clock that it was necessarily a future vision, but I'm kind of with you where I thought, oh, he's going to go back to the Green Knight. Like around
Yeah.
the time that he came back from, because there's, I think it's the second time the Green Knight is going to do the blow, and he gets up and he's like, no, and he runs. And so he runs away and he goes back to Camelot, and he gets back there and the king is dying and knights him and then hands him the sword. And I'm like, oh, cool. So he went back and he got knighted. He's not going to tell anybody what actually happened, but he returned. So the assumption is he was victorious and
right.
gets knighted. He becomes king. Then he has a child with Essel that he takes from her.
Right. He rejects her.
And at this point, I'm like, wait a minute. Something ain't right.
Yeah. He marries somebody else who has red hair in the shape of fox ears,
Yep.
which I thought was interesting.
Yes. That's a good catch. Yeah, everything just kind of felt off at that point. Then you see him with a young child, and then on a battlefield, and I assumed, I'm like, oh, that's his son.
Yeah.
Like I did make that assumption. I figured out that we're jumping forward, and his son dying, and it was around this point that I'm like, something doesn't. It was around the moment of him taking the child from Essel and rejecting her that I'm like, something doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
And
Just tossing her some coins and leaving.
Yeah. Yeah. His entire relationship with Essel throughout the movie was very transactional. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what felt so, that's why I feel like her character didn't get a good, fair shake, because she is really trying to help him and care for him, and he is so transactional with her. I think he even says when she talks about wanting to be his lady early in the movie, he's like, I can give you more gold than any lady.
Yeah.
And that's not what she wants.
Like she's a prostitute, and that's just kind of how he treats her the whole time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very unfairly. But the whole thing is playing out, and then he comes back and he's getting manure thrown at him when he comes back into the castle. And all of this, I'm like, okay, all right. How's this going to play out? Like, what's going to end up happening? And I will say, as soon as we saw him sitting there with his queen and their child, the daughter, and then the camera starts to do a 360 pan again. It pans away from him to the left. It was like, we're mirroring back to that. I wonder how this is going to end. And I liked that we start with he's sitting there with his wife and their daughter and his mother and some advisors or people around them. Mm-hmm. And as the camera goes around and around and around, and then we see like soldiers at the door, and we're hearing the banging on the door. Like basically the kingdom is revolting against him because he's not a good guy. But to end on him alone, right? As it comes back around to him, everybody is leaving. His wife gets up and leaves with the daughter. His mother walks away, and it's just him left by himself. I thought it was a really cool, like, just very visually poetic thing.
Yeah.
Did you see the whole bit with the taking the belt off happen? Because I didn't see that coming. I will say that. 'Cause
Oh,
he undoes the belt and like pulls it off, and as soon as he
right.
takes the belt off, head falls off.
Right. I did not see that coming. And the way he was taking off the belt was odd because he was like pulling it through a hole, and it was almost like pulling his guts out or something.
Yeah, and it even sounded like that. The sound work
Yeah.
in this movie too, like visually and audibly, this movie is just so well done.
Yeah. And then
But-
the head falling off was quite a surprise.
Yeah, and then to snap back to, oh no, this was all just a vision of what could be, and now he's in front of the Green Knight, and he says, "Okay, I'm ready now," and that's great. Like that's him realizing that a legacy is less important than being a good person, being good, and having the virtues of a knight and following through. And he had to go through all of this to learn that and sacrifice or be willing to sacrifice, because it's the honorable thing to do. That was the whole kind of story, is that search for honor.
Yeah.
And I really liked that. And I don't know about you, but I love the ambiguity of this ending.
Yeah, I'm torn between really appreciating clarity in stories, and appreciating something that's kind of open ended too. So yeah, like I think my assumed interpretation is that he gets to live at the end, because if you're going to learn all that and can't do anything with it, what's the point?
And that was going to be
but-
my question for you, is how you read that ending. So that's cool that you take it as, because I love where the last thing that Gawain says is, "Okay, I'm ready." And then the Green Knight like kneels down and says, "Oh, my dear knight," and he does the finger across the throat. And then and the final line of the movie is, "Now off with your head."
Yeah.
And then we cut to black. And so there are a couple of ways you can read that, and I like that you read it as it's sort of a, okay, off with you now. Like
Yeah.
that was
And with your head, bring it with you.
and it's as if the finger move that he does, that's his retaliation, right? Because he does say, the Green Knight does say that I can return the blow in kind as I see fit. So
Yeah.
you kind of read it that way. The other way to look at it is, no, he does get his head lopped off. We just don't see that. And it's a little bit ambiguous. And I think I read that Dev Patel and David Lowery have like conflicting. One of them believes one way and one of them believes it the other way.
Yeah.
And I don't know who believed which way, because whatever I was reading didn't say. But I do like that, because I'm with you in that I love closure to a story. But I think that a story like this does not need to spoon feed us a definitive ending. It can leave it open. It sort of reminds me a bit of the film Memento, Chris Nolan's movie, because that ends in a somewhat ambiguous way of like, did Leonard figure out what was going on, or is he just going to continue the cycle of what he's been doing? And the way it ends. And I like that because it's fitting for that story. And I think this is a fitting ending for Gawain's journey, because it was about him figuring out that he needs to live honorably.
Yeah.
Whether or not he physically lives beyond that moment, largely irrelevant to the story that was being told to us.
Yeah.
So, I have a couple clips I want to play, because there's some good moments in it. There's a big swath of the middle of the movie that had very little dialogue. So there was, at one point, I'm like, oh, I haven't captured anything in a while. And then Joel Edgerton showed up, and I'm like, cool, I've got all sorts of good stuff. But there was some good things in here. I liked, let's see. So before we get the feast, right, is sort of the first part of it, the Christmas celebration, because we open on Christmas Day.
Right.
And I love when he gets called up by the king to sit at his side, and he's like, "That's not where I belong." And the king's like, "Well, person who normally sits here isn't here, so come on up." And so, asks him, "What do you see looking out there?" And I loved,
I see legends.
Do not take your place amongst them idly.
like, it's this idea that he is destined to be a part of this group
Yeah.
and join them in their greatness. But he's not there yet. And I like the queen being like, yeah, it's not just something that happens. You have to earn it.
Yeah. You can't do it idly.
Yeah.
Like his whole life is very idle.
Yeah. His whole life, he's the nephew of the king. His whole life has been like waiting for the things to happen to him instead of going out and doing it and taking control. So there's that. And then, of course, the Green Knight shows up and everything happens there. And he lops the head off. And it's such a great moment of bravado from him to say,
Never forget what happened here upon this Christmas day.
like, never forget, I'm going to do something memorable. And maybe think about things a little bit before you do them. And of course, then the head, the eyes opening up as the body's picked up the head and kind of holding it in front of it. And Ralph Ineson, man, I'm telling you.
1 year hence.
Oh, that's just,
Yeah.
he can hit those tones that like shake your foundation. It's kind of crazy. And I'm one to get laughs. I love a good stage laugh. And these, I'm going to play these two back to back. These are both real good. Those are good maniacal laughs too.
Yeah.
Just bone chilling in their way. So yeah, that's kind of the opening part of the movie before we move into, there's a little bit of his pre-journey before I take off, and we get Gawain. I liked him in the inn trying to eat and nobody noticed him, and the innkeeper or the guy working is like, hey, pointing him out and like pointing him out to everybody in the room. This is the one that killed took out the Green Knight and blah, blah, blah. And now he drinks among us. But it's the person in the background.
And now he drinks with us! But his mother's a witch!
but his mother's a witch, and you get Gawain looks up, and my note was like, ooh, you shouldn't talk about his mama.
Yeah.
Because then we just smash cut to them fighting outside. It's real good.
Yeah.
And the king, it's the only Sean Harris quote that I got.
Is it wrong to want greatness for you?
He's so frail, and it's so it's so different of a version of Arthur.
Yeah. Like you can immediately recognize that he is supposed to be King Arthur if you are vaguely familiar with the legends, but definitely to have him that sick and frail from the beginning is very odd.
It is, and it makes me wonder how much of the symbolism of that is, because there's a shot later when Gawain is leaving of a bunch of workers like clear cutting the forest. And there's talk later on about, basically the lady's speech talks about green being the color of nature and of life. And Gawain says, yes, but also, rot. And she goes, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And as humans, we, tear it up and we cut it down and we build on top of it and we stomp it out. But eventually it's going to come back up and get us anyway. And there's sort of this thing with Arthur being kind of the, he's the great king of all of Christendom. But maybe the Green Knight has something to do with nature taking back from humans. I'm sure there's some layers to that in there.
There
of,
are
like-
some things about like the kingdom kind of deteriorating a bit. If you think about the very opening shot, it's in like a farmyard area. There's a building on fire
Oh God, that opening.
just beyond it. So like within the town, stuff is on fire. They're clear cutting the forest. The scavenger mentioned the king in the battle.
Yeah,
Like he
that's
was
true.
scavenging a battle somewhere. Like who's responsible for that? Was it a just fight? And on top of that, the king is dying.
And it's great because it's all done through visuals and kind of subtextual, and it's never front and center. No one ever says, talks about the king is old or the king is dying. He just is, and his wife is, and I really liked that. And I mentioned this line earlier, but this is Essel talking to Gawain.
This is how silly men perish.
Oh, how brave men become great.
Why greatness? Why is goodness not enough?
It's a valid question. There's a lot of valid questions asked in this movie. Why is goodness not enough? Why does it have to be greatness?
Yeah.
Because that's her way of being like, why do you got to go? Just stay here with me. You have something good here. This is a good life. We can be happy together. But he feels destined for greatness, and he's got to go do this thing.
Hearing her again here made me realize the differentiation between her and the lady is in the accent as well. Here she's doing kind of a peasant, maybe Northern English accent, and the lady is much more of a posh accent.
Very much so.
So they
and
sound
you're right,
entirely different.
That's a subtle difference that I recognized her pretty quickly as the lady, but then she spoke and I'm like, wow, it's very different. So yeah. And then we get, him running into the kid, the scavenger, and a kindness, which is great because all of these chapters have ellipses. So it's Sir Gawain and then a kindness. And this exchange was great, and it was a wonderful part of this long. I'm a sucker for a long take, so that long take of the two of them, and the fact that it's all in a wide, I think is also really cool. And just seeing all of that production design and the battlefield, and then this exchange in the middle of that, or towards the end of it.
That's a nice axe you got. You do some fighting with that axe?
Here and there.
Here?
Only there.
It's a very subtle, but I loved that. I like characters speaking, not necessarily in code, but it's the scavenger being like, well, were you part of this battle? No, I wasn't. I wasn't here. And then when he leaves there after only paying him the one coin when he's basically called out for not giving him any money, gets into the woods, and we saw the fox. And then immediately we see up another wide shot and a person step into the road. And I just loved.
Hello there.
Hello.
What? Polite. Polite.
Yeah.
Also, I really like.
Hello.
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 Before they rob him blind and tie him up.
Yep.
And then he takes his axe, and again, Barry Keoghan.
You rest your bones, my brave little knight. I'll finish your quest for you.
Really? Are you going to finish the quest? I don't think you are. The stuff with Saint Winifred again is just not in the poem, but it was really good and really creepy. It's very atmospheric. This is bordering on kind of horror movie areas. It doesn't quite fall over to that, but it does get very just like existential and kind of strange, but not without its humor.
What are you doing?
I was just...
Do not touch me.
Her reaction is just perfect. What are you doing? No, don't. And even this.
Are you real or are you a spirit?
What is the difference?
I mean, from her perspective, what is the difference?
Yeah. Spirits are real.
She's standing in front of him.
Yeah.
Your head is on your neck, my lady.
No. It is not. It might look like it is, but it is not. It is in the spring.
Sure. Yeah, that makes perfect. And the whole time, Gawain's just got this look on his face. Of all the things he's dealt with, he's got this look on his face like, are you sure?
Yeah.
But I loved, again, in a movie full of really important questions.
Well, how did it happen to get there?
That was one I would ask. I would ask, like, okay, your head's in there.
Question.
How did that happen? I also, again, Joel Edgerton is my second favorite character in this movie. He is great. And I love him as an actor. I also love that you referenced him as Uncle Owen because it just warms my heart.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's got some great ones.
I will hunt, you shall rest, and we shall both be all the better for it.
It's a good arrangement, right?
Yeah.
He gets to go out and do what he wants, and you just hang out here with these two because why not?
Yeah.
But there's all these little moments like
This house is full of strange things.
I'm trying to figure out what that accent was and who his voice, the accent and the voice he was doing, what it reminded me of.
It does sound familiar.
Right?
Yeah.
I get a little, you know what it is? I get a little bit of Russell Crowe in Gladiator as Maximus.
Oh, I can hear that.
And a little bit of Captain Jack Sparrow.
Yeah.
I think more Maximus for me now that I think about it. But there's that scene where they're just sitting in the parlor drinking in front of the fire right before the lady's long soliloquy about the color green. And he's talking to him, and I loved.
You're not very good with questions.
You're not very good with questions. Because every time we'd ask him questions, there was just something in the way he would respond that was really funny.
Yeah.
But he then calls him out. And this was the part where I thought maybe this is the Green Knight in some sort of other form when he talks to him about this.
You do this one thing. You return home a changed man. An honorable man. Just like that.
I love that because it's so much of the hero's journey in stories is that, right? They go out to do this one thing and it changes them and they come home and they are now the honorable person. And to call that out in the story, you sort of realize that no, everything going on is supposed to lead up to it. And he's been failing all along the way.
Yeah.
So I liked that quite a bit. There's the final line of the movie.
Off with your head.
It's real good. And I also got the fox. I just want to play the fox because the voice modulation is creepy on that. And the fox is some of the only visual effects, like CG work they really did. There's subtle things done throughout the movie, but really it's the fox and it's the giants where the kind of only CG and more the fox. I think overall it looked pretty good. I think it was pretty solid.
When it first showed up, I remember thinking, like, I wish they just used a real fox, because everything else looks so practical and natural.
Yeah.
But it's a good CG fox, but you can still tell it's not real.
I think with more budget and more time, maybe they could make that work. But again, it's a $15 million film, so it's not like they had a ton of budget to do it. What they did, I thought worked. But when it speaks, it almost retroactively makes it work better for me once the fox goes to that point of now speaking.
Right. Now
Because
that we
now
know
it's
it's
not
a
a normal
magic
fox. Yeah.
Yeah.
I cannot tarry.
That way in your doom is at hand.
And it's such a like eerie voice to come out of that animal, because it's like it's
Yeah.
almost multiple voices layered over and like crossing over each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a odd movie, but it's my kind of strange movie. So this was a good choice. I'm glad that we both got to see this, because it wasn't what I expected it to be, and it sounds like it wasn't what you expected out of it either.
Yeah. I didn't have a lot of expectations going in, but like I said before, I was expecting it to be more of a straightforward story, and it definitely got far more artsy and strange than I expected, and I kind of dig that. And it's definitely worth watching more than once to try to pick up on things more, and maybe before the next time I'll reread the poem and familiarize myself with the original material.
I would be very interested to reread the poem myself before watching it. And I find it fascinating that this got an R rating. I get it, but it's interesting to me that it's an R rating because it's all for atmosphere more than anything. It's not a bloody movie, really.
No.
There's a beheading. That's it.
Yeah. Kind of two beheadings.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, and a lot of the things I think could have been avoided. You could have had less random nudity at the beginning, and still realized it was a brothel.
Yes.
Giants don't necessarily have to be naked.
No.
And the beheadings can be less bloody. But
it also
yeah,
it's one of those that could have been made as PG-13, but I understand making it the way that they did, and I think that the tone is more what got it an R rating than anything. It's very dark and dour.
Yeah.
Throughout, and it's a lot of failure and a lot of just dark introspection as he's going through this journey. It's because it's a hero's journey, but it's not an uplifting hero's journey. Because even though he does, he reaches that ultimate kind of moment at the end of realizing his honor, but it's not a happy ending.
Right. Not necessarily.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Fair point. Not
Like
necessarily.
if you can choose to give it a happy ending, but you don't actually get to see that part.
That is a good way to put it. Yes. Which is fascinating to me, and I love when movies can do that, because I don't think every movie needs to be cookie cutter and the same. I don't mind a movie that gives me a bit of a downer if the journey to get there keeps my attention. You said it earlier. The worst thing a movie can do is be boring. This isn't boring to me. It's slow.
No, not at all.
But it keeps you engaged. So it's a very good choice, and I'm really glad that I finally did get to watch it. And it was wonderful having you back on the show. It's been too long.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
We were talking
I think
a little
this
bit.
was my third one.
Yeah, I think so. And we were talking a little bit before the show, but you have a little Kickstarter campaign going on right now.
Yes.
What's going on with that? Let people know about it and where they can find it.
So, as part of Zine Quest, which is a initiative by Kickstarter to promote tabletop role-playing game zines that people publish,
Okay.
I am writing and drawing a little booklet called Magica Nostalgica, which is a catalog of magic items for Dungeons and Dragons that are all inspired by popular toys of the 90s. So you've got a Bop It becoming a magic item, the Super Soaker, different action figures, yo-yos,
Nice.
all getting stats and special abilities for use in your Dungeons and Dragons game.
Very cool. So we will have links to that Kickstarter campaign, and you also have your what was the other one? The College of the Third Wave?
Yes, College of the Third Wave was the zine I published 2 years ago. That was a ska-inspired bard subclass, also for D&D, and that is actually available as an add-on for Magica Nostalgica.
Nice.
I set up a tiny URL just for this show. Go to tinyurl.com/WYHS catalog. That'll take you right there.
Perfect.
Wait, you haven't seen catalog?
Excellent. That will be in the show notes for this episode. So definitely check that out. Check out Matthew Sargent illustrations. What's the website? Skipping Infinity?
Yeah, skippinginfinity.com is my portfolio. I'm at Skipping Infinity on Instagram, Blue Sky, and Facebook if you want to see more of my work.
And definitely check it out. It's fantastic work. I love your style and your art. It always, something about it is there's just a fun to so much of your art, and I really appreciate that. So definitely I will have links to all that as well. Check out Matthew's stuff. But Matthew, thank you so much for coming on back. It's always great to chat with you.
Thanks for having me.
And I think are you going to be at Nerdtacular in June?
Yes, I am planning to be at Nerdtacular.
Excellent. Well, I will be there, so we will definitely see each other there. And if you're going to be at Nerdtacular, come say hi. Now, next week, I have, who do I have coming back? I have a returning guest next week. And, Anthony Vito is coming back. And last time he was on, we talked about Sonic the Hedgehog. We're going to talk about Sonic the Hedgehog 2, because why not? I want to watch it. I haven't yet. And get a little Jim Carrey as the Eggman, Dr. Robotnik, because that's always fun. So come on back for that next week with Anthony Vito and Sonic 2. I can't wait. But until then, Matthew, thank you for being here. Everybody in the chat, thank you for being here. And we will be back. Just remember to enjoy your movies. And with as weird as everything is, let's be excellent to each other. This has been Wait You Haven't Seen.
My tooth hurts.
My tooth hurts.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that.